and I'm curious as to how you see the role of a cinematographer now compared to when you started, and if it's what you hoped it would be when you started, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. I oh man. I mean, it's definitely changed as
Mm,
far as the way that I see the role of cinematographer, but I think that that has to do with like my own naivety and like preconceived notions of what a cinematographer is, or like, you know, like the younger version of me saw it in one way, and then as I got actual experience working as it, I realized, oh, it's less that and more of this. To say like I used to get I think I used to think that it was definitely more of like more of a director position,
mm,
and like let like let I used to get in my head and kind of like offended when a director I was working with wanted to take the camera and frame up the shot. As I used to be like, oh no, like that's my territory. Like you're hiring me for my like compositional skills and eye and
mm,
now if now that I've been doing it for some time, I actually like really love working with super like visually oriented directors because I feel like it's a learning experience. Like somebody would,
right.
frame. No two people are going to frame up the same shot, so it's like you know, it's cool to get a glimpse into somebody else's eye when they work that way. It's 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 morphed. I guess all that's to say is like I used to think that it was like a job that, where like you're on par with the director to a certain extent, less than, and now I think it's much more of like a role where you are in service
Mm,
to the director. Um like you're there to, you know, I mean, offer your ideas and offer your creativity when you can, but ultimately, like you're there to serve the vision of the director that you're working
mm,
with. Um,
all right.
does that make sense? Sorry for the
Yeah,
long
yeah, for
winded.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think to go along with that a little bit is like in the commercial space, how do you find that you maybe try to put your own voice into commercials, for example? Because you get the treatment, you get the agency boards, you get whatever, and it's so easy just to like do that thing that's
yeah.
presented in front of you. How do you find, or if you do, like your own creative voice? How do you spice things up a little bit, like experiment or pitch new ideas in that world?
That one's that's as I'm sure you know, is an extremely tough world to do that in because like not only
Right.
are you answering to a director, but you're answering to an entire like village of clients and
Yeah.
creatives. So it's like you know, I once again I still only interface with the director on all of those things, and then it kind of becomes their battle
Mm,
to run it up the chain and get it approved. But I just I like to leave like enough space when I'm working to find inspiration in the moment,
mm.
and then
Could you elaborate? Like, how do you find that space? What does that mean? A little bit more, if you don't
uh,
mind.
not like you go and do a commercial job and there's boards and like you said, like there's like you have a whole roadmap of like what to execute, and then
Hmm.
so like you do all of the necessary prep work to make sure that you I like to look at it as like, okay, like I I can fall back on this. I am prepared to do and execute this. as like the
Mm.
bare minimum of what I can deliver.
Right.
But then as we're like setting up the shot, if I see something, or like if I'm like some inspiration strikes on set while we're like in the middle of it, and I'm like, hey, like then I'll often just kind of call the director over and just be like, hey, like, you know, like check this out, or like I just found this, or I just thought of this. Like I know that we're setting up for this, but maybe this is like a better version of that. And it it's like sometimes it's like, oh yeah, let's do that, and then
Mm.
it becomes like on the director to kind of like sell that up the chain, or it's kind of like, no, like, you know what, we should just do this one the way we planned for it, but that's a good idea that we could maybe introduce, on that
Mm.
setup, or like in, like, um it's I like to work, I like to work kind of intuitively. I do whatever planning is necessary for the job, but I'm definitely not like an over planner, or like
Mm.
suit. Like there's like I like to, uh, you know, I guess that's how I like to leave space. Like I don't, I kind of want to leave, you know,
Like,
um,
have some spontaneity on set?
yeah, leave room to have some spontaneity and like chase an idea that feels
Mm.
inspiring in the moment. And I guess other ways of doing that are like, you know, by doing whatever you can to like move quickly and get ahead and leave yourself that space. Like if you're, bogging yourself down with like some really big setup that like is ultimately going to eat a lot of time out of your day, when you like you could be using that time to, I like, explore, you know, something different or something more inspiring, perhaps. Like I'll try and get ahead of that and like,
Mm.
see what everyone's feeling about that, or is it like, or if we should just continue course.